Thank you for joining this session. My name is Timur Pakai. I am the director of the JD MBA programs at Columbia Law School. I'm also the director of the Rubin Mark Initiative for Organizational Character and Leadership. Wanted to welcome you to this virtual session where we're going to be giving you a high-level overview of the three-year JD MBA program. I'm joined by my colleagues, Sarah Lamparski, Associate Director of Admissions at Columbia Business School, as well as her colleague Eviana Bell is also from the admissions office. We will be joined later by members of the career services team, and we'll be giving you more information about career resources for students and what job prospects and look like for those that graduate. Sarah, would you like to say hello?
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you here. Just one quick note, we will save time at the end for Q&A. So any questions you have, we might answer them along the way, but if you do have some initial questions, you're welcome to utilize the Q&A box now. Eviana and I will keep an eye on any of those questions that we can answer. Some we might save for the end as they might be able to be answered live, but otherwise feel free to utilize that. But we'll go ahead and get started.
Great. So as I said, we will be giving you an overview of the program, and we will talk in depth about the admissions process, application process. So, for the three-year JD MBA program is a joint program where you begin your studies at the law school, your first year, and then second year you're at the business school, and third year you're technically in residence at the law school, but finishing up requirements at both schools. So applicants can apply to the joint degree program through the Columbia Business School application portal, and you can find many of the application requirements on our site, but we will be covering that in this presentation. If those of you are currently 1Ls at the law school, you are eligible to also apply to the three-year JD MBA program. If you are a 2L at the law school, your only option would be applying to the four-year program. One thing I just wanted to mention on the in terms of like eligibility is that applicants should have 2 or more years of work experience prior to applying. If you are applying to the program and you don't have as much, the 2 years worth of work experience, you should, write, what you've been doing maybe during your undergraduate years, whether it be internships or volunteer work, and put that into your essay. And I also wanted to add that there are no prerequisites for this program. So we get a lot of questions about, what sort of major should I be? What sort of classes should I have taken during undergraduate? And so you don't need to have studied, political science or management or finance to be considered for this program. I think it's good to have taken, quantitative courses, but I think other than that, we get many applicants who have a liberal arts background. Next slide. So there are a whole host of reasons to do the three-year JD MBA program, one of which is an accelerated program. So you do get 2 degrees, highly regarded degrees from Columbia University in 3 years versus 5 years. You have access to both schools and their resources. So that includes career services, as well as faculty, research centers. You're also assigned an advisor throughout the program. So I actually advise our JD MBA students in both the 3-year and 4-year program. You also work with a career advisor at the business school. You have access to the Richmond Center, which it's actually, the full name is Richmond Center for Business Law and Public Policy. It's a joint center between the business school and law school. And it provides a number of different resources, ranging from a mentorship program where the center pairs you off with JD MBA alumni in fields that you would like to pursue. They also host a number of events just for JD MBA students. We just had an annual dinner at the business school where we invite back many of our alumni, as well as faculty directors that belong to the Richmond Center, students and staff. There are also a number of networking opportunities. Students have also visited the offices where JD MBA alumni work, either shadowed them or just learn more about their particular role and their field. So there are ample opportunities to network, with students in the program, with alumni, and also remember you're part of the law school community and the business school community. So you're meeting students from both schools. So during the program, most students, or not many students, take courses during the summers. The courses are offered at the business school during the summer, but our students tend to be doing internships during summer 1 and summer 2. My colleagues will speak about the types of internships students have done during their time at Columbia. And another benefit is entering the workforce a lot sooner, being in a dual degree program. Next slide. So I'm going to hand things over to Sarah, who's going to talk about the application.
Great. Thank you, Timur. Yes, so for the 3-year dual JD MBA program, you need to complete the joint application that is housed through Columbia Business School, our application portal. So you must also complete the supplemental law school form through LSAC in order to submit your CAS report and any valid LSAT scores. I do see a question here in the chat, which I can kind of answer in this regard. That was about, do we need both the GMAT and the LSAT to be considered? So the LSAT is not required for admission to the JD MBA program. If you have taken it, though, you will need to report it through your CAS report. So we only require a GMAT, GRE, and we are taking the GMAT focus, which I think I'll go on that in a little more detail in the next slide. But all applicants must make sure that their applications are submitted and fully complete with all required materials, including your recommendations and CAS report by 11:59 on the deadlines. If you're someone who's very eager and wants to show your commitment to the program, we encourage you to apply early decision, which that deadline is November 15th. So just about a month and a half away here. And then our regular decision deadline is February 15th. If you are a 1L looking to kind of do the 3-year JD MBA program, you would just need to submit the individual MBA application directly through our full-time MBA portal. But again, we're hoping that most of you are prospects here interested in the 3-year from kind of a general sense and are looking to kind of enter through the joint. So if you are someone who is not currently enrolled at Columbia, specifically at the law school, to apply for the 3-year JD MBA program, you do need to apply through the joint application. You would not be filling out separate applications for both schools. Just want to make that clear. So as I kind of mentioned, a few of the components, I'll go into that a little bit more detail here. So some of the application components for the JD MBA program, as we said, the joint online application, you fill out jointly. There's components for both business and both law school that you'll fill out through that application. Both of our teams review that. So again, you don't need to be filling anything separately out. We will require the supplemental form, as noted, that the law school requires, which is via LSAC. We again require GMAT or GRE scores. I just noted before, but we'll reiterate again, we are accepting the GMAT focus for this program for any folks that are starting to explore those options as well. We require 2 letters of recommendation. We really highly suggest that one of those comes from an academic recommender and one comes from a professional recommender. So please make sure that you're, submitting both when it comes to those letters of recommendation. We'll require a copy of your resume, all academic transcripts, and then an essay, which is just basically stating why you're interested in the JD MBA program and what your goals are with the degree and post JD MBA. And then if you are invited to interview, those are by invitations only, but that is the last step in the application process. And after we begin reviewing applications, you'll find out if invited to interview, and those are typically conducted by our team and Timur's team. And just to kind of give you an overview of the timeline and the deadlines that we just kind of noted before. So the application is open for both ED and RD. So definitely make sure that you're starting to, work on those applications. Just note November 1st is the last GRE GMAT administration date that meets the early decision deadline. So if you are looking to apply early decision, making sure that you've taken those tests, beforehand, before that date. And then as noted, November 15th is early decision deadline. If you're looking to do regular decision, February 1st is the last deadline, last date to meet the RD deadline there. We have the February 15th deadline for regular decision. And we also like to note that students that are looking to be considered for financial aid, we highly, highly suggest that you fill out that application before February 15th. Early decision, admission decisions, well, actually both are released on a rolling basis. You will find out no later than December 31st for early decision. And if you are admitted, that you will need to submit a $2,000 non-refundable tuition deposit by January 15th. And similarly with regular decision, they are released on a rolling basis. You would find out no later than April 30th for that admission cycle. And additionally, would also need to submit a $2,000 non-refundable tuition deposit by May 1st. So that's kind of a high overview of the admission process. Any questions you all have about that, you're definitely welcome to reach out to Tim or I, but definitely since the application is housed through us, any technical application questions, please feel free to reach out to CBS admissions directly. But I'll turn it back over to Timur to talk a little bit more about the program in detail.
Thank you, Sarah. So if you applied to the program and weren't admitted, you may reapply to the program in the next cycle. So 1L students at CBS or at Columbia Law School, when they're applying to the 3-year program, they apply directly through the business school to the MBA program and filling out the MBA application. Also to note, students in first year of business school should consider applying to the 4-year JD MBA program. I know we're not going to be spending much time on the 4-year program, but I think if you're considering that program, some of the benefits are you have more time or more opportunity to take electives. You can study abroad, and you have an extra summer for internships. Next slide.
I'm going to add one thing, Timur. Sorry, I saw a question come through that I meant to mention when it comes to the admission process. So someone had asked, is there a possibility that you can be declined by one school and accepted to the other? So if you're applying to the 3-year joint JD MBA, application, you will either be accepted to the 3-year JD MBA program or denied. If one of the admission teams does think that you're a good fit for one school over the other, again, you will be denied from the 3-year program, but then we'll be in touch. We will be in touch, either or admissions team, to discuss a potential reapplication process for the individual program. So there is not a way through this process to be admitted directly to just one of the schools. But, if we do think you are a good fit, we will be able to discuss that path with you. I will move to the next slide. Sorry, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So as I mentioned, when you start the program, you are in residence at the law school. There are residency requirements in this program. So for the 3-year program, you need to be in residence at the law school for 4 semesters and 2 semesters at the business school. So when you matriculate at the law school your first year, you're taking foundation courses. And during your second semester, you have time to take 1L elective, and many of our JD MBA students take corporations or federal tax income and or federal income tax. Those are 2 courses that are cross-listed, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But in year 1, you go through orientation with traditional JD students. Right after orientation, you jump right into taking classes. I think students start out with legal methods, and you're really become immersed in the law school community. There are also a number of career workshops, such as working on your resume and interviewing that you need to participate in during your first year, and we will talk about that in a bit. Next slide. So then at year 2, you matriculate at the business school. You go through orientation with first-year MBA students. And your first semester, you are taking core classes. And one thing to note is in this program, since there are so many requirements to fulfill for both business school and the law school, you can take, to take a minimum of 12 credits per semester and a maximum of 16. Say on average, our students take about 13, 14 credits per semester. Occasionally they take a business school course during a block week if they want to make room to take an elective later on. So at year 2 at the business school, as I said, you're taking core classes your first semester. Second semester, you're finishing off your core, and you need to take business school electives. Some of those electives can be cross-listed courses, law school cross-listed courses with the business school. Another thing to note is students that, prior to entering the business school, they may take exemption exams. So they can take these exemption exams to become exempt from core classes. And if you're able to do that, you would need to replace that core class with a business school elective. And we usually recommend you do that. You take a cross-listed course so that you're obtaining credits for both programs. I should also note that much of our core, actually 9 credits worth of our core, is already cross-listed with the law school. And I think the perk of the cross-listed courses in this program is it helps you reach your credit requirements at both schools a lot sooner. Next slide. So then in year 3, you're technically back in residence at the law school. But as I said, you can be taking a combination of courses at both schools. Many of our JD and MBA students are finishing off their JD requirements in their final year, and I'll be talking about that in the next slide. So this is the requirements for both the JD and the MBA program. So at the law school, you need to fulfill 71 law credits. That includes all foundation courses, so your first year, as well as professional responsibility, legislation, regulation. These are all courses that are part of the ABA or ABA requirements, American Bar Association requirement. 6 points of experiential coursework, a major and minor writing requirement, and pro bono service, which you must do by March of your final year. And so there's definitely a heavy emphasis in experiential learning at the law school. So examples of experiential learning could be doing a clinic, doing simulation, policy lab, doing an externship where you are, let's say, we have one of our popular externships is an in-house counsel externship where you go out into the field and shadow an in-house attorney. And to complement that, you take a seminar, a weekly seminar at the law school, kind of just meeting with other students that are also shadowing an in-house attorney. In the MBA program, you need to fulfill 45 credits. That includes 18 credits of core coursework, 27 credits of electives. As I mentioned, you can test out of some of these core classes by taking the exemption exams. And we highly stress taking cross-listed courses at both schools. Next slide. So these are just examples of courses that are cross-listed at the law school. So law school courses that are cross-listed with the business school. One of the courses here, if you look at the bottom left, we have an entrepreneurship and community development clinic. This is very popular among JD MBA students. So in this, this is actually a 7-credit course, and many students like to do this because they are acting as legal advisors for startups in the Harlem community. So they're using both their business and legal knowledge in this course. Other courses that students, JD MBA students, like to take ranges from nonprofit law, taxation and policy, to international finance, investment banking. I'd also say tech and venture capital, as well as bankruptcy law. Next slide. And here are examples of business school courses that are cross-listed at the law school. Many students are interested in taking real estate transactions, M&A, healthcare industry in the 21st century, capital markets and investments, corporate finance. And the reason being is that students want to take these courses because it's aligned with their professional and career interests. Next slide. And these are courses that are offered at both schools. I would note that capital markets regulation, many of our students take that course. There's also, if you're taking that course at the business school, you can actually take an exemption exam to get out of that course and replace it with another elective. So now I have the honor of introducing my colleagues, Julie Schulman, who is the Assistant Director of Career Advising at the law school, and she's going to be talking about career services there. And we're also joined by my colleague, Trisha Bayonne, who is the Assistant Dean of Admissions at the business school, but she worked at the Career Management Center at the business school for a number of years, and they're going to be talking a bit about the career services for JD MBAs.
Perfect. Happy to jump in. Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name, as Timur said, is Julie Schulman, and I'm the Assistant Director of Career Counseling in the Office of Private Sector Careers at Columbia Law School. I am the career counselor in OPSC assigned to work with the JD MBA students. We have two other career offices here at the law school. We have the Office of Public Interest and Public Sector Law and Careers, which is known as the PIPS office, and the Office of Judicial Careers. We offer a wealth of resources which help Columbia Law School students find meaningful work as legal practitioners and provide our students with the skills needed to be consummate professionals. To that end, we offer extensive professional development programming along with individual counseling sessions that encourage students to explore career paths relevant to their interests, skills, and needs. These programs allow students to consider all of the opportunities that are available to them and to develop skills that will be useful to them in their professional careers. My office supports students with private sector career development. Principally, this means employment and careers with the largest law firms, but it also includes specialized boutique practices, corporate and financial institutions, and consulting firms. We offer private sector focused professional development programs for students throughout their time at CLS. To give you a sense of the kind of programs we offer, my office is hosting the following events for 1L students in the next few weeks. Intro to networking, navigating summer opportunities on your private sector career path, a 1L Diversity Expo, a 1L Diversity Applications Panel, and a program called Presenting Yourself in a Private Sector Interview. More generally, our services include individualized career counseling, reviewing resumes and cover letters, maintaining a library of online resource materials, conducting practice interviews, and providing an introduction to a network of private sector legal employers. Students often ask about the typical career trajectory for a JD MBA. On the legal side, students often pursue jobs in big law with a focus on M&A, corporate transactional work, bankruptcy, or restructuring. During your 3-year JD MBA program, you'll have 2 summers in which to explore different internships. 1L summer internships generally include 1L diversity fellowships at law firms, positions working in-house, jobs with public interest organizations, government work, or judicial internships. Students who plan to work in big law after graduation have an opportunity to participate in our summer recruiting program, one of the largest single school recruitment programs in the world. The program is held the summer after your 1L year, and rising 2nd and 3rd year students participate in this 4-day event as an important step in securing summer and full-time employment in the private sector. This past year, thousands of individual interview slots were available to students during the program. I hope this has been a good overview of some of the opportunities available to CLS students, and I hope to have the opportunity to work with all of you. Thanks.
Hey everyone, my name is Trisha Bayonne, as Timur said at the top. I am the current Assistant Dean of Admissions, but as Timur mentioned, for the past 12 years, I was running the MBA Career Education and Advising team in the Career Management Center, CMC, at the business school. In your 1L year, you work with Julie and her team, specifically in the Office of Private Sector Careers if you're looking to go private sector. And then when you are matriculating to the business school in your 2L year, you would start working with the CMC. May 1st, prior to matriculation, you would gain access to a robust career education learning platform that supports your career learning journey, everything from self-assessment to on-the-job success with deep dive industry previews. You will also be assigned an advisor in the CMC, specifically who supports JD MBAs and based on what your intended industry and function is. So if you are someone who's going to pursue an M&A career, that would be assigned to one advisor. If you're someone who's going to pursue a management consulting career, you'd be assigned to a different advisor. But throughout not only your 2 years of matriculation at the business school, but indeed lifelong, you have full access to all career advising opportunities, where you receive the education and guidance on the core job search and leadership capabilities that you need to be successful in any job search, not just your first JD MBA post-graduation. The office also works extensively with employers who are seeking to hire from Columbia Business School for all talent levels. And there's a robust employer relations team that is maintaining relationships with corporations, both growth phase and established. And then we also are an office that builds a culture of shared career support throughout the business school community, with the Richmond Center being the primary partnership for the JD MBAs. So with that, I'm going to pause and allow Timur and Sarah to resume in the presentation. Thank you.
Great. I think we're kind of at the end of the actual presentation component of this as is. We have our contact information here and links to our each of our websites with some more information, but I know we've had a lot of questions already and we're happy to, keep answering them. Timur, was there anything else that you wanted to add here at the end before we kind of open it up for Q&A?
Yes, here to help answer any questions you have. I would just feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We can also share our contact info, our Columbia emails. I would just add, just in terms of what students are doing post-graduation, we've had a number of students that have gone into global, law firms, big law, as we say, that are, in practicing in the areas of restructuring and M&A, bankruptcy law. We do have students, that, when pursuing something business related or business function, many have shown interest in investment banking, private equity, venture capital. And I think what's great about being a student at Columbia Business School is you have access to a number of different centers and institutes, research centers and institutes, so you can learn more about a particular field. We also have a number of students in the JD MBA program who've taken interest in value investing program, as well as the private equity program. Great. But here to take questions.
Yeah, I know there's a few that I've seen. I know Aviana's helping manage a bit with typing some questions, but there's a few that I see about answering live. So we had one really quick that said, can we apply to the joint degree as part of the lead/deferral program? So the short answer is yes, with an asterisk. So you're welcome to apply directly to the law school lead program or to our DEP deferred enrollment program at the business school. And if, admitted into those and you are in your deferral period, if you are interested in the joint 3-year JD MBA program, when you are planning to matriculate, you will need to apply directly to the JD MBA program. So since we are evaluating jointly, we do need to go through the joint evaluation process. We will take into consideration if you are in one of the deferred programs, but basically how it's going to work is that, you can apply directly to the 3-year. If you are admitted, you would need to matriculate to the 3-year JD MBA program. If you are not, you can stay in your deferral period. This, I should just note, this is the policy for the business school. Definitely make sure that you check in with the lead admissions team over at the law school as well, just to make sure with their policy. But I know what we've basically agreed on is similar in this aspect. So the short answer is yes, you can apply, but you would need to apply again directly to the 3-year JD MBA program. even after being admitted to the deferred program. So I hope that helps to answer. Eviana, were there any other questions that you wanted us to answer live that you're seeing come through from the chat?
Yeah, thank you so much for taking these questions. We have a lot coming in. Just going back to admissions, can we just confirm which standardized test scores we will accept for the JD MBA program? And a few people are also asking about the GMAT focus and the new GRE and where we stand on those.
Yes, great question. I know we had quite a few come through. So the LSAT does not suffice as the only standardized test to be accepted for this program. You will need to submit the GMAT or the GRE in order to be reviewed and, to be considered for admission. Again, if you have taken the LSAT, you would report that through the CAS report, but it is not required for admission. GMAT or GRE are required. We will be accepting the new GMAT focus. From my understanding with the new GRE is that GRE is just updating their test. It's not technically, on our end, a new test that, we need to kind of necessarily consider. So since it's just changes to the actual test itself, absolutely, if you're taking that, it's still the GRE and we would accept it. But I know the GMAT focus is a little different, so that one we will be accepting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, let's go to this question. So someone's asking whether JD MBA students are eligible for study abroad opportunities.
Not in the 3-year program, but if they are in the 4-year program, yes, they are eligible. I would say that if you do want to experience do something abroad, there is the global immersion program or global immersion course at the business school, and I know there have been JD MBA students that have enrolled in it, and I know there was one, I believe, in UAE, and they traveled there for 2 weeks as part of the class. But I know that we have also had students that have interned or worked abroad during their summers.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Someone else is asking whether it's possible to do an even more accelerated JD MBA program. Do we have anything shorter than the 3-year program, or perhaps a part-time program for individuals who want to work at the same time? Or is that not an option?
That is not an option. This is a full-time program. 3-year is the most accelerated version we have.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can one of you speak about the resources that are offered? And when I say resources, I think specifically this person is asking about student organizations. When can someone participate in organizations at each school? Does that start from the beginning, or do you have to wait a little bit before getting full access to resources offered?
Great question. So in your first year, you have access to all law school student organizations. And then in year 2, once you matriculate at the business school, you'd be able to participate or become a member of a student club organization there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Going back to admissions, is there a preference when it comes to the amount of work experience or the type of work experience that an applicant has?
So again, I think I've answered somebody in the chat as well, but just to note, we do not require a 2-year work experience, but it is preferred, and we are seeing most of our students coming in with at least 2 years of work experience. So, and in terms of, the work experience that we're looking for, there's not necessarily something in particular. We have folks coming from a variety of backgrounds, as Timur was saying, with, liberal arts or different kind of academic backgrounds, as well as work backgrounds as well. So there's not something specific, I would say, but definitely making sure that in your essay, you're explaining your previous experience and how it's going to inform your program and what you want to do after, is how we really can maybe see if you're maybe coming from what we don't like to say, but, quote unquote, more non-traditional background in terms of, law or business. I don't know, Timur, if you have anything to add, or if Julie and Trisha have anything to add with kind of work experience with JD MBAs.
Yeah, just responding to the question about where students have worked prior to enrolling in this program. Just from the students that I've met and worked with, many have come from the consulting world prior to applying. We've had a number who worked in legal space as a legal analyst for large financial institutions, doing paralegal work, working in nonprofits, or as well as NGOs. Patricia, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, what's more important than the type of company you're coming from or the industry that you're coming from, but it's the number of years of experience combined with the impact you have. So the 2 years minimum is super important, because as a JD MBA, if you choose to go a business career route, you're going to be interviewing against the full-time MBAs who are non-JDs, and their average work experience is about 4 years. And so the companies that come to CBS to hire the MBAs are expecting about 4 to 5 years of work experience. And so the 2 is really a minimum for them to consider you. The impact is also what's the most important, because just having time in a job does not necessarily mean that you've done much with it. So it's really important to demonstrate that you made a difference in whatever organization you were in. You could have been a teacher, but if you changed processes, if you led multiple classrooms, if you influenced policy, all of those kinds of things really are important and would be similar for the full-time MBA entry. So really thinking about what's the quality of work that you've done is more important than the industry or company that you're coming from.
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
Go ahead. Nope, go ahead. I was just saying thank you. Go ahead.
Can someone speak to the financial aid resources that would be available to enrolling students, and specifically in this case to international students?
I can attest from the business school side and kind of how it works for the joint 3-year JD MBA program. So you will be awarded kind of your if awarded any sort of merit fellowships or need-based scholarships and things along those lines jointly from both schools. And then when it comes to kind of other financial aid, there are options through the business school for no cosigner loans for international students. You will fill out the financial aid application through the law school to start. So that's just something to kind of note. And then again, once you come in second year to officially be part of the CBS community, that's when your billing will be coming from CBS directly. I don't know, Timur, if you want to attest to any of international options for options for international students on the law school side, but there are options on the business school side.
Yes. So students, we always we encourage students, if they're looking to apply for financial aid, to apply before they submit their application. If they have any particular questions about financial aid at the law school, they're welcome to reach out to the Office of Financial Aid. We can help walk you through the application process. In terms of international students, I know that they've used our international student and scholar office as a resource, just if they have any questions about financial aid or visa requirements. If you have any specific questions related to financial aid, I'm happy to answer them offline. I know that students could if they're unable to secure financial aid through the school, there are other opportunities like loans that we can help refer you to.
Perfect. Thank you both very much for that. Going back to letters of recommendation and really any materials that are part of this application, can anything come in after the deadline? Is there, what does that timeline look like?
Yeah, great question. So no, everything must be submitted by 11:59 Eastern time on the deadline day. So please note that as you are gathering your materials, as you're making your, application payments, requesting those letters of recommendation, giving your recommenders enough notice, making sure that you're clicking that submit button before 11:59. All materials must be in by 11:59 at the deadline in order to be considered part of, if you're looking to apply ED, If you don't get everything in on time, we can still consider you for RD. Just again, make sure that you're filling out that application, but just note, we are going to go through the ED process first. So if you're someone that was hoping to do that, but doesn't get everything in on time and then wants to be considered for a regular decision, we won't start reviewing those probably until the new year. So just note that.
Perfect, thank you. I see, Trisha, you flagged a question about whether the JD MBA program will help someone enter the hedge fund industry. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. JD MBA will support any business career that you're looking to target, including hedge funds or buy side broadly defined. The process for the job search is similar to any other industry. You would be assigned a welcome advisor who specializes in investment management, broadly defined, and you would get to work with them, as well as the robust 360 advising resources, everything from second year CMC fellows, their second year career peer advisors trained to support your job search on an industry basis, to alumni who are part of a robust coaching roster who will provide one-to-one small group and large format advising by industry, as well as the 40 plus execs and residents, many of whom come from funds. The JD MBA absolutely would benefit in financial services writ large, not just in investment banking. And so through working with the Career Management Center at the business school, as well as the Hellebrun Center for Investing and the Richmond Center, you would absolutely be able to find opportunity that you would be interested in as a JD MBA.
Thank you, Trisha. And I'm going to stick with you for right now. When it comes to folks who have an interest in starting their own business, entrepreneurs, do we have folks who go into that, and what sort of resources do we provide that they might want to look into?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So the Eugene Lang Center for Entrepreneurship at the Business School is the hub for all things entrepreneurship here at CBS. There are opportunities to receive funding for a venture that you're looking to launch. If you wanted to work on your entrepreneurial endeavor during your 2L summer, you could apply for funding through the Lang Center to work on your startup and receive some supplemental for it. As well as there is a robust incubator through Columbia University at large, and there's access for alumni as well to gain support in launching a venture. So certainly JD MBA would support in that, and again, you would receive an assigned CMC advisor through the business school who focuses on startup entrepreneurship, venture capital. She comes from the tech VC startup world and is very well versed in supporting MBAs and JD MBAs in their career interest. Perhaps your venture is not ready to launch right at graduation, and so you can also work with either Julie and her team or with the Career Management Center at the Business School or the Lang Center at the Business School to think about what is your interim step prior to launching a venture.
Perfect. Thank you, Trisha. I'm not sure who would be the best person to speak to this, but I am curious. Can you tell us about housing options for JD MBA students, and where do most students typically live?
Yeah, I believe, Timur, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think when it comes to your first year, since you are technically in residence at the law school, housing would be managed through the law school. Then I think second year we managed through the business school. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am the housing liaison for business school and I'm new to the role. So, but that's my understanding. And then in terms of where people often choose to live, if they're not living in on-campus housing, a lot choose to live up in the Morningside, the Heights, Harlem area, to be close to, the campuses, to be able to have easy access. We, both campuses are off of the one train. I don't know if we kind of hit on it much in the info session, but CBS, you were up at the Manhattanville campus, which is about 15 blocks north of the main Morningside Columbia campus, which is where the law school is. So a lot of students choose to kind of live in those areas. And if you are selected for on-campus housing, most of the apartments and dorms and all of those are right in the area. Tim, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, that sounds correct. In the past, the JD MBA students were guaranteed law school housing for 3 years. That may change in the coming years, but I know our office, the law school is definitely able to help students secure housing. There's also a more central university office that that focuses or that helps with securing housing as well.
Perfect. Thank you both. Let's see. We have a few people asking about, generally speaking, the difference between the early decision and the regular decision application process and what we're looking for. So can someone speak a little bit more to that and how someone might determine whether they'd like to apply early decision or as a regular decision candidate?
Yeah, I can note really quickly, and Tim, feel free to jump in. So for early decision, there is a binding agreement, and an agreement that you will have to sign through the application to say that, you know, the joint 3-year JD MBA program at Columbia is my top choice, and this is where I want to be. And, you know, if admitted, this is where I will be coming. So that is kind of the main difference in terms of the application process. So it is showing that it is your top choice. It's, you know, where you commit to be if admitted. And then regular decision is if you're kind of thinking about a few different options, not quite sure, you know, you can definitely apply through that process. I wouldn't say there's any specific way that we necessarily assess the applications differently. We just will look at kind of, you know, if you're someone that's highly interested by doing ED versus RD. I don't know, Timur, if there's something you want to add with that in terms of assessment.
That sounds about right.
Perfect.
Nothing to add.
Wonderful, thank you. And when it comes to submitting an application, can someone apply to the JD MBA program and a standalone program, so either JD or MBA at the same time?
No. So you can only have an active application for one program, basically. Again, I know it's a little convoluted because it is a joint program, but you will want to apply directly through the joint 3-year JD MBA if this is the program that you're interested in. Again, as noted, if we unfortunately don't think you're a good fit for the joint program and you are denied, and we do think that you're a good fit for one program over the other, you know, we will be in touch about that. So I often encourage dual students to apply to the dual program and kind of go from there to see what options are available. So, but the short answer is no, unfortunately, you would not be able to have a JD application open and the JD MBA application open. Vice versa, could not apply to the MBA program and then also have the JD MBA application open.
Perfect. And then Sarah, can you just touch on this again? We're getting a lot of questions about if someone is not necessarily a fit for the JD MBA program, but an individual school thinks they might be a strong fit for their program. Can you tell us just a little bit more about what that process is like?
Yep.
I imagine it's pretty individual to the applicant.
Yes, so it'll be pretty individual. So again, you would receive unfortunately a deny letter from the joint program, but if we do think that you're a good fit, our individual admission teams would reach out. You know, if you are denied and you do have concerns or you are interested in one of the programs, you are welcome to, you know, email us, but realistically, we will be reaching out directly to let you know. And at least I can speak to kind of the business school side of things. There would be a bit of quote unquote an expedited readmission process if you are interested in the MBA or we think you're a good fit for MBA only. And what that might mean is just, you know, not having to resubmit some of the information in terms of, you know, letters of recommendation, or, you know, we'll have all of your transcripts on file, things like that. So, but you would need to, you know, go through the individual application and fill that out if we do think you are a good fit.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I saw a question from someone who's curious about any support that we offer for members of the U.S. military. So can you speak to us about any clubs or offices that might be available to help those students?
I know we have some on the business school side. I'm forgetting the name of the club right now, but yes, we do
The
have.
Veterans Club.
Thank you. I was like, I think its name just changed and it's something so simple as that. Thank you, Aviana. So yes, we do have the Veterans Club that, you know, you could get involved in, and there is support through the business school. We do have a lot of different affinity clubs, and that is one of them. So definitely something that you'd be able to get involved in during your time on the business side. And I'm sure there might be some options over, I'm not sure, Tim or Julie, anything over on the law school side.
Yes, we have the Columbia Law School Military Association, non-political, non-partisan social group, and they do quite a bit of pro bono work targeting the veteran community, you can find out more on our law school site.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Someone is asking a question about the supplemental essays that we have as part of the application. What can those essays be used for? Is there anything that applicants should touch upon in those?
Yeah, from my perspective, those should be utilized to kind of fill in any gaps from either, you know, personal history or academic history, work experience, etc. So, you know, anything that you feel was not able to be explained well through your application, or that you were not able to touch upon in your initial essay, you're welcome to utilize that for those reasons. Tim, I'm not sure if you want to add anything from the law school perspective.
Yeah, I usually recommend to applicants that they talk a bit about, you know, why the JD MBA, what they want to do with it. Are there, you know, any particular courses they'd want to take during their time here? Maybe specify certain faculty members and, you know, why they would want to take the course. How does it align with one's academic and professional interests? I also I would also, you know, encourage everyone to do their homework and try to find, you know, the right, you know, maybe centers or institutes, research centers that you would want to learn more about or try to get involved in, and explain how does that tie into, you know, contributing to Columbia and the community.
Perfect. Thank you.
We have time for maybe one more, Aviana.
Okay. Ooh,
I know there's lots of
well, there are so many great questions. I think the first thing is that we will plug again. Feel free to reach out to us with any other questions that you have. Let's see here. Oh gosh, there are a lot. I think I will just end on this question that I've heard from other folks, which is just, how would each of you describe the student body at either the business school, if you're based there, or at the law school, if you're based there, in a couple of words? What is the community like, and what are our students like?
Let law school go first. I talked too much.
Julie, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So I would say that in a few words, the community is a really diverse, vibrant, intellectually curious community. It's actually, I think the students describe it as being very supportive and welcoming, and intense group of folks. But I think there's a lot of resources available to them, and a lot of support, and a lot of really active student groups. So I think that it's very much a community that people enjoy being a part of.
Talk about CBS community. Oh, Trisha. Oh, there she is.
Okay, sorry, I had to get back to my mute button. Well, you know, as you see from my name, I am class of 2009 from the full-time MBA program. So perhaps let it speak to my passion for this community, that I have made my professional life be working for this school, for this community. Columbia Business School is a place that is very collaborative, not at all competitive with each other. What I love is when I see students who are interviewing for the same role, they're prepping each other, they're helping each other to succeed. I've seen students turn down an offer only to recommend a friend to receive that offer directly to the employer. You see that play out in academics. An example from my own personal experience was, I was a journalist who was a business beginner when I got my MBA. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, my learning teams are study groups that you have as part of your academic core. My learning teammate at 2 o'clock in the morning walked me through a problem set, because I really had never seen how to do it. And he wanted to ensure that I understood how it works, so that I wasn't just turning in work that had our group name on it, that I actually really understood and internalized it. So that collaborative nature, that inclusive nature really permeates throughout our community. And it's what makes this place so incredibly special and stands out from other business schools.
And if I could just add a bit about the JD MBA cohort, I would say, they are a very cohesive family and, very supportive of one another. And one thing to note is that when they matriculate at the business school, they are in the same cluster. They use Slack to communicate with one another. There's ample opportunity for them to get to know one another since they're such a small group. So as I said, the Richmond Center provides a number of different programs and runs events, particularly for this group. And so I just wanted to add those comments.
I think that's a great note to add on. So end on. Thank you all for attending. Again, please feel free to take down our contact information here with any questions. I know we weren't able to get to all of them, so apologies. There's just not enough time in the day, but definitely feel free to reach out. Thank you again for your time. We look forward to connecting further. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again for attending.